So I wanted to tell you the story of the cover, if you don't mind. On the 1-year anniversary of Theo's accident, he and the 3 friends that were with him mountain biking hiked up on foot on that trail in Crested Butte to find the tree that he had encountered. And Theo, carved his initials in that tree that day. He left his mark on that tree in other ways that you can read about. And then he left. Georgia and I, 2 years later, hiked up ourselves to find that tree. And I took a digital photo and brought it home. And then when we were looking at doing the cover, I gave that digital photo to Kim Bonar. I don't know if she's in here or not. She was upstairs early. There she is back in the back. Kim Stanley Bonar did the watercolor that is upstairs on the easel, painted that tree just in excruciating detail. It's really extraordinary. Now, one of the more serious reasons I tell you this, I don't know how many of you in here have children that you either have raised or are raising. This book might be a little scary to you. But the other reason, it turns out I was at that tree 2 years later, was from the night that Theo hit his head on that aspen tree. I bet I dreamed a dream 10 times a night, certainly every night. From that day forward, I wasn't there, so I'm a father. Something bad happened. I wasn't able to fix it, and maybe that's why it was going on over and over and over. He's riding down a trail. He hits some kind of a bump, and I can see him flying through the air. Just before he hits the tree, it starts again. So I never was able to see that whole picture, but I was creating that over and over and over. I have not had that dream since the day I took a picture of that tree. I have no idea why that is.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me here today, and I'll just start with another thank you, the most important thank you. Thank you for all the prayers and the thoughts, and for building this temple to be a place, this community to be a place where people can succeed. They can believe in themselves, and they can believe in the strength that comes from a lot of other places. I was not able to do this by myself. If anyone, like my dad talked about, has gone through a traumatic event or knows somebody who has, you probably all have, it's amazing what a little bit of stubbornness can do and being resolute about where you want to try to get to. Goal setting has been something that I learned from the get-go, from my parents and from the friends that I've surrounded myself with. And I've been really fortunate to have a community that has pushed me to go for, I guess, the win, go for, to be able to be the best that I can be. So deep down, really, I owe this to everybody here, because you gave me the resolve to push through the accident and to get to where I am now.
To go up there, there's really a peacefulness to that. And of course, it was a peaceful place. High grass, fall leaves turning on the trees. You're standing there and a gentle brook is running down the side. And if you just stood there and it was just so peaceful. I don't know if I'll ever really get my head around what that did for us there that day.
For me, it's not a painful place. It's a peaceful place as well. I was happy to be able to get up there, happy to see it. It wasn't really what I remembered. I was looking up at sky for 3.5 hours, 4 hours, I guess. And so I didn't know what the tree looked like. I remembered what I thought the trail looked like. I remembered a much rockier, bumpy section before that. I don't know if anyone mountain bikes here, but you always remember the technical sections, we call harder sections, more than the flowy, fast sections. You kind of turn your brain off when you're going fast through a nice trail, which is where I had my accident. So for me, it was peaceful, and it was just an accomplishment that I needed to have to be able to hike back up. I set that goal maybe the day after I took my first steps, just because I wanted to have something in mind. And so the 1-year anniversary was cathartic more than anything. Can I go first? Yeah. So I have maybe a different way of looking at what could be a miracle than a lot of people. Knowing the Bible almost from front to back, thanks to my good Sunday school teachers here, I know a lot of those stories, and my story was not one of those stories. They felt a little bit far-fetched and maybe too miraculous for me. I could not be part of that. It's not going to happen that way. I'm not going to be told to walk and stand up and walk. Not saying that can't happen, but I knew very well that was not going to be my case. So for me, the way the miracle presented itself is the fact that I had been given gifts, mental gifts, and gifts from other people, love, namely, to be able to believe in myself. It's a miracle to be able to believe in something that medical professionals tell you not to believe in. So the miracle for me really stems from the amount of confidence, the amount of love, the amount of belief that I had about what people can do when they put their mind to it.
I agree with what he said, and I don't know if I said this a couple of weeks ago, but I really resisted every commercial effort to make this a book about a kid that walked again, and that was the miracle. There are many other stories out there that are that story, and I don't want to take away from those, and I agree with what they say about their stories, but that wasn't our story. That wasn't the story that we wanted to tell. It was extraordinary what happened to Theo, and unexplainable, and Dr. Clifford says it's a miracle. You're a miracle kid. Just is what he said. But I wanted our story also to be accessible by people of any faith or no faith. And it was really at the heart of probably what I was struggling with through the whole thing. I completely accept that what happened to Theo was a miracle at face value. But what I came to understand for myself was that the definition of a miracle is much, much broader than that. That if people with this kind of determination put their mind to it through loss and adversity, and they have the courage to discover who they're meant to be, whatever that definition is, and if they find that place in life, that will be something that the world needs desperately. And if enough people do that, each one of them will encounter at moments in their life times when what they do best is needed most, and something special will happen. And if enough people do that across time and through time, something really extraordinary could happen, which we might call a miracle. I believe that this is the world God constructed, that miracles are inherent in the operation of God's world.
Well, I would counter with that was due to error. Sorry. Thank you. You're too kind. I did not turn left enough. I hanseled out. But bad things happen to people. And I think I was fortunate enough to be in the service today, and George he hit home a point that there are not really bad people and good people. They're just people. And I think very tough things happen to people who you would consider the best people. And that's okay. I hold a little bit of guilt to this day. I'm unable to look at someone, especially in a powered wheelchair, without any feeling of loss for them. I see those situations and I take on part of that. And I wish everyone could get to where I am. Selfish, and I think about it a lot, and I'm very fortunate. I don't have a great answer. It is terrible. It is the most disappointing thing that's happened to me in my life, I would say. Mentally exhausting. I went from gaining things back to losing again, and slowly. And you just watch things that you were able to do wither away. It is horrible. This is what it was, honestly. But you learn to find grace in the sadness. I wasn't as emotional before I went through this thing, but I'm very comfortable talking about emotions now. I've found that, as morose as it sounds, sadness is one of my favorite emotions because it's almost like elation takes over every part of you. And you can experience strength out of that dark place that you would never have the opportunity to experience if you had not gone there. So while it was the most disappointing thing, I think for me in the long term, it was maybe even a blessing. I don't know. All I can tell you is that I live by the Russian embassy, and my Russian's not good yet. I work for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel as a concierge. Well, Dorothy, you're going to maybe make me cry, because this is the only part of this story that really is miraculous to me in the old definition I have of miracle in my mind. And when I was there on the ground, there were two women there that were supposed to be there. They knew what to do, and they knew the type of kindness I needed at the time. And one just held my hand, and the other brushed my hair with her hand, and I needed that love. I needed that love at the time. So.
But it could have been where they were raised. How providential for them to be in Colorado.
Right. I mean, they were Swiss German women on a mountain biking trip. So, yes, I could, probably. No, I will not. I actually sold my bike to a work associate in Colorado who has boys who he wanted to ride the bike with his boys. I ride a normal bike. I ride a road bike. I ride, a commuter bike to get around Washington, D.C., where I live now. Maybe not directly. I would say I don't spend as much time as I probably should helping people one-on-one in that type of environment. However, I found that having a base of love around me gave me a lot more strength than purely mental knowledge and mental capacity. And so I would like to think that the love that I try to extend to everybody I meet helps them. I am a very open ear to my friends and to my new acquaintances. And I think, like I talked about earlier, being able to share your emotions and what you're feeling with people creates really strong bonds really quickly. And I think that if you have the opportunity to create those bonds and to keep up with those, you can enhance someone's life for the better. So I would hope that I am helping people in one way or another.
Here's one of the best written passages in the book. I did not write it. Well, I did, but it's a quote. Georgia is forceful and clear on the matter. Quote, I am unwavering in my belief that God bent his ear to the prayers of his people and to our son's deep need. Now I know that even at the bottom of the riverbed, we are not alone. God meets us there and sits with us.
Thank you both for being here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
So, really something else. And what I didn't say there is, oh, yeah, me too. I'm glad it's done and done.
Got my weeks crying.
Well, on Sunday, yeah.
Thank you. Did we not get you upstairs?
Yeah,
Right.
he still doesn't have the use of his right hand.
And I switched a couple of characters to different places from what you read. And then if you got...
Well, he was